Hi, these comments are for RR, and I am Michael from OTC, OnlineTOEFLCourse.com, and you're doing speaking and writing practice test today. Speaking and writing practice today, right? So let's get to your writing. Uh, I still have a lingering COVID-19 cough right now, but other than that, thumbs up. Much better. And thank you, everybody, you too, for helping me get through this terrible illness. Okay, so for the integrated speaking, I I scored your writing at 4 or 25 points out of 30. So I'm going to just make a few corrections in here, and then we'll kind of go from there. The reading points out 3 reasons why pollution is thought to be the cause of sea otters' decline. And in the lecture, the speaker suggests that predators cause the decline in sea otters. Okay, first of all, the author of the notes that it was found. That's word order. That's not natural. So you want to put the subject first here. You don't even need it. So they found that several sources of pollution were found in the Alaskan coast. Moreover, the article emphasizes that the water samples for the sea area showed an increase in chemical levels, reducing the sea otter's infection resistance. This specific claim is challenged by the author. So I think here you want to say who suggests, not she suggests. So you don't want too many simple sentences in there. Who suggests that nobody has found the bodies of these animals. And we could probably say this. So it's challenged by the author who suggests. So who suggests that nobody has found the bodies and that predators are an excellent reason. So we're using these 2 dependent clauses, these 2 noun clauses. So now instead of all those different sentences, we got one. We got a 36-word sentence. It's better than having 3 shorter sentences, especially for academic writing, right? You're trying to show that you can combine sentences, you can control your sentence structure. Second of all, the writer posits that other marine mammals, seals and sea lions, have been declining too. This idea brings up the environmental pollution situation according to the reading because it causes the same damage throughout all the different species. So this, by putting the voice marker in, right after the independent clause and before the dependent clause, that I give you some very big points on that. That shows that you do have some pretty good syntactic variety, and you acknowledge that voice markers are needed, and you're not always putting them in the beginning of the sentence. So that's good. The lecture, on the other hand, comments that since there are no big praise, there are not big prey. I'm going to just say prey in the Alaskan coast area. Orchids have targeted small animals such as sea otters, seals, and sea lions to survive. Then you could say here, therefore, the decline of these small mammals, marine mammals, is because they're being eaten, not because of pollution issues. You concludes the speaker in the lecture. You could probably add that right there. Say, third of all, the author of the reading reports that the sea otter decline is irregular. In some Alaskan places, the otter populations I'm going to put present perfect here, have strongly declined, whereas at other locations the population has maintained stability, I think. In addition, the article states that experts believe that some locations have incredibly concentrated pollution. Contrastingly, in the lecture, the speaker rebuts that the decline of sea otters depends on the places where orcas were available to enter. Furthermore, she asserts that shallow and rocky places where orcas cannot enter were the places where sea otters population maintained stable. Yeah, I don't know. This is a problem here. I'm adjusting the score down one notch. I'm going to go to 375 because of that sentence. It's hard to understand kind of what you're trying to say there. She searched shallow and rocky places where orcas cannot enter. I got it. You need a verb here. So you have she asserts, so you have the subject and the verb. Then you have that. Shallow and rocky places are. So shallow and rocky places, we need a verb for that subject within that dependent clause. So she asserts that shallow and rocky places are the places, and I'm going to change this to in which sea otters population maintained stability. So when you use a regular verb like maintained, you're going to need to have a noun after that, and stable is an adjective, right? If you have a linking verb, you say, well, the population is stable, then you could use stable, but you said maintained. So then I think we fix the sentence. Furthermore, she asserts that shallow and rocky places where orcas cannot enter are the places in which sea otters population maintained stability. Maybe change this to have maintained. So, and what we also had to do here is you had a lot of past tense verbs, but if you go back to previous paragraphs, that's not what you did. You said nobody has found the bodies, predators are an excellent reason. You're using either the present perfect or the simple present in previous paragraphs to talk about the information from the reading and the lectures, so you want to be more consistent in that manner. Okay, so I think my score is pretty accurate. I had to adjust it slightly. I'm going to give you 22 points out of 30, or no, 24 points out of 30, 3.75 out of 5. You had the one sentence that was you didn't have that verb in there that went to the one dependent clause, and it kind of made it a little bit difficult to understand. You had a few word order and verb tense issues in the writing, and that's why I scored it the way I did. So if you look at the rubrics, in the 3 area you have errors of such usage in our grammar may be more frequent or may result in noticeably vague expressions or obscure meaning in conveying ideas and connections. So I think the grammar, to some extent, it did cause a little bit of a problem in some areas of your writing task. Let's listen to the integrated speaking practice test you sent me. So this is the 11th TOEFL integrated speaking task number 4, I think, that you've sent me over the last week or two, right? And let's see how you did on this. Let me make sure I'm ready to grade it here. Let me find the rubric. I have the speaking rubrics here. I have your integrated speaking. Okay, let's go.
In the lecture, the professor talks about 2 basic principles of interior design in North
It's basic principles of interior interior design.
Provides two examples to further illustrate this idea.
Okay, you're kind of slurring and dragging your words a little bit there. Be careful. Now, I know you're trying to speak more clearly, which is good, but you have to be careful you don't change from speaking too quickly to too slowly.
To begin with, the professor explains that the first element.
Now, the professor explains that the first element blah blah blah, so you're pausing, it's right before the dependent clause connector, and your tone should actually go up slightly. The professor explains that the blah blah blah
Unity means consistency between materials and colors. To attain unity, it is necessary to.
So to attain unity, again, tone should go up because you're pausing after that introductory phrase there, that infinitive phrase.
Bring together similar elements. For example, if a room has light green walls and a dark green sofa, the room has unity, but too much unity is boring. Moreover, the professor explains that the other element, contrast, disrupts in the unity of the room. For example, a red cushion in the dark green sofa made the sofa look greener, but too much contrast makes the room feel busy.
Okay, so there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line between speaking too quickly and speaking too slowly. So you got to get in the middle there where you're speaking fast enough, right? So it sounds natural and your thought groups are good and your pacing is good, right? And that's good, but you're also speaking clearly at the same time. So you weren't able to find that medium in the middle there. This time you went to speaking too slowly with too many pauses in there. So you weren't doing a pretty good job with what I call thought groups and blending. Let me listen to it one more time. I'm going to give you a score. I'm afraid I'm going to probably score you at about 18 to 19 points out of 30 on this.
In the lecture, the professor talks about two basic principles of interior design in North America and provides two examples to further illustrate this idea. To begin with, the professor explains that the first element, unity, means consistency between materials and colors. To attain unity, it is necessary to bring together similar elements. For example, if a room has light green walls and a dark green sofa, the room has unity, but too much unity is boring. Moreover, the professor explains that the other element, contrast, disrupts in the unity of the room. For example, a red cushion in the dark green sofa made the sofa look greener, but too much contrast makes the room feel busy.
Okay, it's too slow. It's much too slow. So you have to be careful about that. Okay, so let's take a look. I don't know. I think you're more in the 2 range on your delivery here. Speech is clear at times, though it exhibits problems with pronunciation, intonation, or pacing, and so may require significant listener effort. Speech may not be sustained at a consistent level throughout. Problems with intelligibility may obscure meanings in places, but not throughout the response. So, unfortunately, that's where you fit, 2.5 to 3, mainly because of problems with your delivery. Now, why not do some pronunciation practice? Instead of doing speaking practice every time, why don't we address the problems you're having right now? Right? So you can do this. You can send me 60 seconds of speaking or 60 seconds of pronunciation practice each day. So why not alternate? One day, let's do some work on pronunciation. Then the next day, you can do a speaking practice test, because it doesn't matter how many speaking practices you do. If you don't speak clearly, you're not going to get the good score. So we need to help you with speaking clearly. I have TOEFL private lessons that deal exactly with these situations. Right, but Michael, I'm on a tight budget. Okay, if you can't do that, then the next best thing is to pick some lessons from my website, right? Pick a paragraph or some sample sentences, practice reading those, and then send that to me so I can give you some pronunciation feedback. And if I were you, I would focus in two areas right now with your pronunciation practice. Focus on intonation, that speak clearly lessons 36 through 40, and then focus on thought groups and blending, and that's pronunciation lessons 41 through 44. I think those are the two areas that you need to work on right now. Okay?